So you've heard of all of these different job titles in the film industry, right? So you've heard of the first AD and the second AC and the DOP and the gaffer and all of this stuff. So what do these people do? In this video, I am going to be answering that question, going over each job role individually, telling you exactly what they do and what they are responsible for. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel because I am constantly posting content that will help you to raise funding for your films, and I post lots of other general filmmaking tips as well. So subscribe to this YouTube channel because the only reason why you wouldn't subscribe is if you hate getting free content that will help you with your filmmaking journey. My name is Jordan Bunton-Williams and I am the founder of 100 Day Film Financing. So film crew job roles. So all of the people that you see on a film set, what does each individual person do? So of course on a $200 million budget Disney film, there would be a crew of hundreds of people, right? So I'm not going to go over all of those job roles because let's face it, not all of us are working with a $200 million budget. So in this video, I'm just going to cover the key crew members that you will typically see on a short film. So let's start with the film producer. So the producer is the person who oversees the whole film production. So they would find the story to make the film on, they would find the director, the screenwriter. Most of the time they would be responsible for finding the money to actually make the film. The producer is pretty much in charge of everything. They are essentially everyone's boss, so they own the film. So because the role of the producer is such a big role, normally on big budget films, the producer would have people to help them out. So they might have an assistant producer and they might have a line producer and they would have a production manager. But generally speaking, on low budget short films, the producer would need to be in charge of all of this single-handedly, just to avoid the extra cost of having to employ assistants and even more people. So on low budget short films, the producer will need to handle all logistics of the film. So they will need to source all contracts and release forms for the cast and crew to sign. They will need to arrange catering. They will need to schedule when the film starts shooting. They will need to handle all admin and everything else. So this is a big job role for one person to handle single-handedly, but when making a short film with a very tight budget, then there is sometimes no other choice. Next is the director. So the director controls the creative aspect of the film. So the director will read the script and then they would visualize in their head how he or she wants to see the film, and then they would go and hire cast and crew who are capable of executing that vision that they had in their head. So then it is the director's responsibility to clearly articulate and communicate to their cast and crew exactly what they want, exactly what they saw in their head. Next is the screenwriter, and they write the script, right? It doesn't need any more explanation than that. Their job is in the title. So I'm not going to insult your intelligence. We all know what the screenwriter does. Okay, now we are on to the DOP, and DOP stands for Director of Photography. And the DOP is responsible for the look and feel of the film. So the DOP will sometimes choose the camera that is used on the film. They would sometimes choose the camera lenses that's used. They would be in charge of the lighting and the effects. So the DOP will work closely with the director and the lighting team to achieve the right camera frames and to achieve the right lighting for the frame to meet the vision that the director had in his or her head. Okay, so the first AD, so the first assistant director. And the first AD worked closely with the director and they pretty much managed the whole film set to make sure that everything is running smoothly and on schedule. So if the director wants to move on and shoot a different scene, it's then the first AD's responsibility to make sure that the entire film set knows exactly what scene they're moving on to and exactly where they need to be and exactly what time they need to be on set and whatever. So it's the first AD's responsibility to handle all the logistics, making sure that the entire film set knows what they're doing. So that's handled by the first AD, which gives the director the freedom of mind to just focus on directing and the creative aspects. All right, now we are on to the first AC, so the first assistant camera. And the first AC works underneath the DOP. So the first AC would manage the camera gear and recommend lenses and other supporting camera kit. So on film sets, the first AC will also be the focus puller. So whilst the DOP is busy doing their thing, framing their shots and getting the actors in frame and making sure that the lighting is as they want it, the first AC will be the person pulling the focus, so making sure that the actors are actually in focus. And the second AC, so the second assistant camera, and this is also known as the clapper loader. And so the second AC is the person who usually does the, slate 22, take 3, right? So the second AC will do the clapper board, and they are also in charge of maintaining all records and paperwork for the camera department, and they are also in charge of laying the marks for the actors to hit. So usually when the camera would be here and an actor has to walk towards the camera and hit their mark, the second AC is in charge of laying those marks for the actors. And next we have the DIT, the DIT. So that stands for Digital Imaging Technician. So an official DIT will obviously be in charge of media management and storage and offloading and backing up footage. With low budget short films, it's always good to find a DIT who is pretty good at editing. So then on the days of shooting the film, the DIT can be assembling a very, very rough cut of the film. So just editing some of the shots together so it can make narrative sense. And trust me, this will just make the transition into post-production so much easier, and it will also give the producer and the director the chance to watch some of the scenes back literally the same day that they shot it. It's just a good way for them to see what the film is looking like and how things are shaping out. Next, we have the sound recordist, and the sound recordist deals with the sound of the film, making sure that each part of sound is recorded correctly. That one is another self-explanatory one. I don't need to go into that much detail there. The job is in the title. Swiftly moving on to the boom operator, or the boom op. And the boom op works closely with the sound recordist, making sure that all microphones on set are positioned properly to record the best sound for each of the scenes. And next, the production designer. So the production designer is in charge of designing the set to meet the vision that the director had in his or her mind. So it is the production designer's responsibility to source all of the necessary props that the actors might need and any other materials that are needed to dress the set with. And then there is the art director, and the art director will report into the production designer, and they would also assist with sourcing props for the actors and any other materials to dress the set with. Now we are on to the gaffer, and the gaffer's job is to manage the team of lighting technicians. So the gaffer would work closely with the DOP to determine what lighting the DOP is trying to achieve, and then it's the gaffer's job to deliver on the DOP's requests in terms of lighting. So on small budget films, the gaffer might not have a whole team of people, so the gaffer might have to handle all lighting single-handedly. They might have to light all of the scenes themselves. However, if you can afford it, if your budget does allow for it, it might also be a good idea to also hire a spark. And the spark's job is to operate the lighting equipment. So if you can afford to have a spark, then at least you will have someone to support and assist your gaffer. And yes, that might be an added expense because you're now having to hire another person, but that money you spend on hiring a spark will save you so much time on set, because that extra person will just help to keep things moving a lot more swiftly on set. Next, we have runners, and runners help out with handiwork on set. So they may be responsible for arranging lunches and helping to keep the set clean and tidy and filing paperwork and other things of that nature. Next, we have hair and makeup. And again, this is another self-explanatory one. They deal with the hair and makeup for the actors. And on big budget films, there would be a team that deals with just the hair and another team that deals with just the makeup. But if you're working on a tight budget short film, then it's sometimes best to just hire one person who is experienced in both hair and makeup, just to save you the added cost of having to hire two different people. Then we have the costume designer, and again, pretty straightforward. They source the costumes for the actors. And lastly, you have the script supervisor, and the script supervisor is responsible for looking after the continuity of the film. So the script supervisor would also take notes during the shooting of the scenes, and those notes are then handed to the editor to help them with editing. So those are the key crew members that you will typically see working on a low budget short film. So if you are making a short film, then you will most likely need everyone that I just mentioned on that list in order to have a smooth running film production. Now, at this point, you might be thinking, where the hell am I going to find that much money to get that many people to work on my film? And the good news for you is I also have a completely free masterclass where I share with you some secret tips and strategies that you can use to successfully raise funding for your own films. So if you would like to watch the free masterclass, just go to 100dayfilmfinancing.com and you will be able to get instant access to that right now. So that is 100dayfilmfinancing.com. The link will also be in the description below. And look, if you got any value from this, if you learned a lot from this video, then please also like the video, click on subscribe, and I will see you on the next video.